Welcome to Commentary with the Fox. I'm your host, David Fox. This week we're going to be talking about Professor Gates, that cop that's being labeled a racist, and President Barack Obama. But first, before we get to all that, I need to state that I can't speak for Black America. Let me state for the record that I am, of course, racially mixed. My father being Irish and Cherokee Native American. My mother being Portuguese. I am a mixture of Cherokee, Irish, and Portuguese. So I cannot speak for Black America, but I can say what's fair, and I can say that racism in any fashion is wrong. So now that I've stated that and trying to keep this impartial, let me go on. I want to start with Professor Gates. Professor Gates, what were you thinking making those comments that this is what happens to black men in America? That was just wrong. And to say it not only to anybody, but to say it to a cop was even worse. You just brought the whole situation on yourself. But before we even get to that point, let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back to the fact that the man comes home after a trip. He cannot get into his front door for whatever reason. The lock was jammed or wasn't working properly. And then he had to go around back and get another way into his house. Okay, a neighbor or passerby, sees some funny business, somebody trying to get into the lock or whatever. Especially with a house that had a past history of being broken into before. From an objective point of view, if someone called the police to say, someone was at my property, I'd be happy when the cop comes out. I'd be like, hey, you know what? At least someone's looking out for my best interest. At least someone's looking out for my well-being, my welfare. At least someone's watching over my property. That actually would make me feel good. I would be happy to live in a neighborhood where neighbors look out for each other. I think that's great. But Professor Gates didn't handle it like that. After the cop comes out to investigate the situation, find out what's going on, Professor Gates then showed his ID and said, hey, this is who I am. This is my property. I just had trouble getting in, etc., etc. And, as it went on, the cop verified it was his house. Okay, fine, done deal. But then Professor Gates goes on to make these comments about this is what happens to black men in America. Honestly, he brought the whole situation right on himself. I would say, he should have just let it go. The cop verified it was him. He showed his ID. It was all good. Okay, fine. Have a nice day. But no, he goes on to make these comments that are offensive, that are inappropriate, and certainly shouldn't have been directed at an officer of the law. Now, in this particular case, I don't blame the cop for then arresting him. Not because he didn't belong on the property, but because he then made these inappropriate, improper comments to the cop, which in a sense is actually verbal assault on the cop. And the cop could have actually filed charges on him for verbal assault or even a threat. But, as it turns out, they dropped the charges, etc., etc. But Professor Gates brought the whole situation on himself. I don't want to believe that the Cambridge police is racist. I don't want to believe that that particular officer is racist. And even if he is, it's not like he's going to tell you. But I would have to say that if I was an officer of the law, and I came out to investigate a situation, and it worked itself out where the person verified themselves and everything, I would walk away and it's all good. But if the person then became, belligerent towards me, then as an officer, you would have a right to address that. So do I think Professor Gates had a right to be arrested or deserved to be arrested? Yeah, he did deserve to be arrested. And do I think the cop was a racist based on that? No. There were African American, there were black cops with him. So how could you say he was a racist? I don't think he was a racist. But like I say, even if he is, he's not going to tell you, and it doesn't seem that he was being racist in this particular situation. So Professor Gates, I think, was wrong. You know, he verified he was the owner of the house. That's great. But then went on to make comments he shouldn't have made, so he brought that arrest on himself. Now, to the comments about Barack Obama. You know what? No matter if you're Republican or if you're a Democrat, no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, no matter if you're a fan of Barack Obama or you're not a fan of Barack Obama, the fact is a world leader commenting stupidly on a local situation, to me, that was out of line. That was straight up out of line. A world leader, a president of the United States, a leader of the free world weighing in on a local situation. When that reporter in that room, in the briefing press room, when that reporter asked Barack Obama that question, if I was Barack Obama, I would have said, look, that's a local situation. It does not pertain to national security. And as an impartial president, you know, I want equal rights for all, so I'm not going to address that. It's a local situation. But as you know, Barack Obama didn't do that. He actually went on to make the comment that the cop acted stupidly, is what he said. Wow. I don't even know what to say about that one. But I think he was a bit biased because Professor Gates is a friend of his. Friend or not, if he made an off-color remark to an officer, yeah, he should have got arrested, yeah. You know, so friend or not, you know, Professor Gates was wrong. But for a president to weigh in on a local situation publicly in front of the press, come on, President Obama, you knew you was bringing on a firestorm. You knew once those words left your mouth, you should have known that the press was going to take it, blow it up like a large balloon, plaster it in front of the whole world and say a world leader weighed in on this matter, and then call the Cambridge police stupid. That was something I think that was stupid, if you want to be honest. I think that was stupid. So as a world leader, I think he needs to be more careful with his comments and certainly not call the police department stupid. And if you are the President of the United States, you want to boost equality for everyone, but as a person of national security, you also want to have, you know, good standards for police. But to then slap them like he did, I think was not cool. It doesn't send a good message from the commander-in-chief. I think he was way out of line for that. He was way off base for that one. So, you know what? I'm going to make a prediction. I predict that when it's time for re-election, those comments are going to come back to haunt him. And I'm personally putting this video on the internet for the entire world to see. And I want you to record it, make a copy. I want you to call me out on this. I want you to make sure that you remind me, remind the entire world. I, David Lee Fox, am making this prediction. Those comments that Barack Obama made will come back to haunt him, and he will not be reelected. I'm making that prediction. Those comments was off color. They was inappropriate from a world leader, and it will cost him a re-election if he even decides to run again. If he does, it's going to cost him, and it will come back to haunt him. Mark my words, I'm making that prediction right now, and today is July 27th. Then again, I don't know when I'm going to post this to the internet, so by the time you see this, it'll be a later date. But right now it's July 27th, and I'm not sure when you're going to see this video. But just know, I made the prediction. It's going to haunt him. It's going to come back to bite him. It's going to bite him hard. Okay? Anyway, that's my commentary this week. And as always, you can subscribe in iTunes. You can catch it on the website. And you can always see all the information in the end credits. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.